Shalom, shalom. This is Brother Thawan Mayam from the Sheba Berea camp. I'd like to give infinity honors to my Lord and Savior, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, who have taught me the truth and taught many brothers this truth. Salutations to you brothers that's doing this truth sincerely, not for vainglory. I was reading an article, kind of like, touched me. And it was the use of the word Motherf. Y'all know what it says. All right, Motherf. All right. And their definition of it is that a Motherf is a person regarded as despicable, something regarded as unpleasant, frustrating, despicable. So I was reading that and I said, nah, it's more to that, and I did the research and I found this article, and it's the transatlantic slave trade, the untold, uncensored truth and after effects of this dark era. And the word Motherf, when you read this article, it was done in September 23rd, 2016, written by Vanessa Danso. And it's a beautiful article. It talks about the slave trade, how they affected us, our education, how they made laws not wanting us to read and write, and then called us stupid and said that, we're lazy, we didn't want to do anything. That's like preventing somebody from taking a bath or shower or bettering their hygiene, and then telling them and teasing them, saying they stink. This is how this devil plays, man. This devil plays a vicious, dirty game. And I was reading this article, goes into entertainment, economics, how even when we tried to do our own thing economically with the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921, they bombed it. And it further goes on and it goes on, and then I stop right here. It says 7. It says sex. It says, I'm going to go right to the point. It says, in 1807, the Act of the Transatlantic Slave Trade prohibition in the United States came along, which made it illegal to import any more slaves. But because the Americans did not want to lose cheap labor, what they did was to set up sex farms. Like we was damn animals, man. Setting up sex farms, man. It says, on these farms, also known as breeding farms, men were forced to sleep with different women more than 15 times a day with the sole purpose of reproduction. Because these people are freak, man. That's why, when you see what's going on in this world, the porno industry, you see how crazy these people are having sex with animals and dealing bestiality and orgies. One woman dealing with 15 men, damn ghetto gaggers, man. Okay? It says the females that were brought in were as young as 13 from the moment the first menstrual cycle begins. Most of the time, slave masters would put a brown bag over their heads so they wouldn't know who they were having intercourse with. That's what these devils do, man. This could have been with their own mother. So you had slaves that could have been having sex with their mother, their aunts, their sisters, their grandmothers, their cousins, and didn't even know it. But the master knew it. It says, which is where the term Motherf comes from. Because these devils knew that this slave was having sex with his mother, man. And they got off on that, man. It says their own daughters, sisters. And it baffles me to this day how you can see your own people dealing with these other nations, especially you Edomites, man. Racist bastards, man. And this is the history, part of history that they don't want you to know. These terms that we use so loosely, not knowing what it really goes back to. It says, and when there were men that were rebellious to the slaves, they were captured and then tied up to a tree. Afterwards beaten severely until they lost complete strength. And you know what? The men have backbone, man. They refuse just to become breeding just nothing, just having sex with anybody, man. You know, just treated like an animal, man. You know, and they stood for something, man. You know, Lord willing, if I was a slave during that time, I prayed that I stood for something, man. You know, I'm not going to just pop my mother or pop my sister, have sex with my mother or my sister, man. Okay? It says, after that, they were raped by the slave masters. You see? Homosexuals, man. It says, sometimes other slave masters joined as well in front of their families, wife and children, and other slaves. It says, this is what we call buck break-in. You see that? Read that again. After that, they were raped by the slave master. Sometimes other slave masters joined as well in front of their family, right? Wife and children and other slaves. This is what we call buck breaking. The intent was to completely strip the man of any masculinity in order to keep the slaves in place. And that's what they did. They buck broke us, man. Says, how does it affect us today? May ask. Well, you don't have to look far either. Listen to urban music, rap, especially watch urban movies. How many times do we not hear the word mother without knowing where it really comes from? We have deluded ourselves by thinking that we was all black people can call each other nigger niggas and white people cannot. When in fact, we shouldn't even be addressing each other with such derogatory words. That's a fact, man. You know, I work with one female, she just constantly says the name, and then I speak to her, I say, yo, man, chill out. And she can't stop, man. You know? And I don't know if it's for her to impress these devils or what, man. But that lets you know what's the true meaning of the word mother. Not the meaning that they told you, the true meaning, where it come from. And shame on them men that didn't want to get hung on a tree, get beat, go through the tribulations, and had sex with their own mother, man. Bunch of damn cowards, man. You know? Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. And that's what we have been. We have been a byword, a proverb, man. Let's look that word up, a byword. Let's get it. It says an object of scorn or derision. It says a person, place, or thing regarded as perfect or proverbial example of something. Yeah, they call us spics, wetbacks, you know. It says a condescending but memorable saying embodying some important fact of experience that is taken as true by many people, man. You see that we was bywords, man. They called us all type of names, man. You know, jungle bunnies. You know, and the insults go on and on because when they was doing that to our women and to our men, they was getting off on us, man. And I'm gonna show you. This is Proverbs 10:23. It says, "It is a sport to a fool to do mischief, but a man of understanding have wisdom." You see that? This was a sport for them to see another man pop, have sex with his mother, have sex with his sister, have sex with his cousin. It was a sport for them to do that, man. They got off on that. They was amused by that. And they doing it now. You think they ain't tapping our phones to see who's complaining about the coronavirus? To see who's worrying? Looking up your browser to see what you're searching for? They get off on that because they creeps, man. And it's a sport for them, man. Now, when you look at that word sport, right? It says a usually challenging activity undertaking for amusement. So these words that they give us is for amusement. It's for them to get off. They have a movie called The Hunt. They have a movie called The Hunt, right? And it shows you how these elites, they get off on that, man. They get off on hunting people, and they don't care if it's because they sick. They sick. They are crazy, man. Okay? They don't care if it's black. They don't care if it's Chinese. They don't care. These elite bankers don't care, man. They operate on a system of wickedness. They don't care about color. They operate on making people go off, sinning. They can't go to sleep without sinning, without making people sin. And I'm going to bring that out. It says Proverbs 4:15. Avoid it. Pass not by it. Turn from it and pass away. Avoid what? Avoid this vaccine. All right? Avoid the RFID chip. Okay? Pass not by. Don't even stay away from these devils, man. Don't trust your enemy, man. Verse 16. It says, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief. So they can't go to sleep unless they done mischief. That's why you see more people dying of the coronavirus. That's the only way they could get sleep is by seeing bloodshed, by making people sick, creating diseases. This is the mind and the frequency that the devil operate on. And their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. They not able to sleep good, brothers, because the elect, they really want us. They want the righteous men, the righteous women and children to fall off, man. Okay? Taking the RFID chip, you know, because that's what they trying to do. They create chaos to bring order, man, you know. And what they doing with this digital currency, this digital wallet, you know, they trying to put, they said these vaccines going to have a digital certificate. Listen, man, don't take nothing that has any type of electronics in it, man. Period. Don't put it in your skin at all. Don't do it, man. Because this is all part of his little freak show, man. It's all about his amusement. You know? And what is your life really worth? It's worth nothing. That's what they was trying to show you in that movie, Trading Places. And I got a clip for that.
Pay up, Mortimer. I've won the bet.
Here, $1.
We took a perfectly useless psychopath like Valentine and turned him into a successful executive. And during the same time, we turned an honest, hard-working man into a violently deranged would-be killer. Now, what are we going to do about taking Winthrop back and returning Valentine to the ghetto?
I don't want Winthorpe back after what he's done.
You mean keep Valentine on as managing director?
Do you really believe I would have a nigger run our family business, Randolph?
Of course not. Neither would I. I do think we should hold off on switching them back, though, until we get that crop report New Year's Eve, don't you?
Absolutely. No sense rocking the boat until then.
If Mr. Beeks does what we paid him to do, we should have a very happy New Year.
Indeed.
And this is the mind of the devil, man. You know, to destroy people's lives, play games. And when you watch that movie, it was over $1 bet, man. All right. So the end game with these people is the RFID chip. They want to know. They want to put everything in you, your social, your identification. You know, they're gonna make it seem like, oh, the coronavirus is on the money. That's why it's spreading. You know, it's going to be easier to get into your job. Nobody's going to be able to steal your identity. This is the end game. You could send money to somebody, person to person, so quickly, transactions so quickly. This is the end game that these devils are trying to do, and they doing it through the mark of the beast, man. And let's get there real quick. Revelation, the 13th chapter. Okay. And the 16th verse. And it says, and he causeth all. How does he cause? Let's look up that word cause. Okay? Look up that word cause. Because a lot of you people don't understand. How did he cause? Do what? Pandemics. Cause means to make, create, produce. What is he creating? Fear. What is he creating? A crash in the stock market. It says bring about. He's bringing this about. He's making this happen, man. Okay? Who's the he? Esau, Edom. You Rothschilds, you elite bankers. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. You see a lot of dudes about to start coming home from jail more. They taking a chip. They making an agreement, You don't have to wear that ankle monitor no more. They just put the chip in you and track you, man. You want to get released early from that 30-year kingpin bid when you were selling drugs in the 80s. That 40-year, this is how you come home. And this is not no joke, man. Okay? It says, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And they're going to put it either in your hands or on your foreheads, man. It says, verse 17, and that no man, because how did he do that? Might buy or sell, because he caused that. Remember? Look at that. He created that. He produced that. He brung this about. The producer of an effect, result, or consequence. All right? And how is he going to do it? He's going to say, listen, you're not going to be able to buy nothing. We're not using money no more. Paper money. We're using a digital wallet. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And really, man, that means that you are Esau prostitute, man. He's your pimp, man. This ain't the first time that we as a people have been persecuted for our faith. All right? Let's get it. It's the book of 2 Maccabees 6:1. It says, not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their father and not to live after the laws of the Most High. See, they didn't want us to live under our customs that of our ancestors, man, that was passed down to us, man. All right. And it says that, verse 2, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter, Olympius, and that in Garizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place, man. So what happened, man? They, that goes back to the god of Zeus. They turning the righteous temple into worshiping the god of Zeus, man. The god of hospitality, Verse 3, it says, the coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people. And just by us seeing this, man, it grieved us, man. Because this was oppression. The same way how they're going to bring it and going to say, oh, our kids got to be vaccinated. If they ain't getting vaccine, then they can't go to school. They won't be able to survive in the society. It says, verse 4, it says, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles who dallied with harlots, right? So what you think was going on there, man? Full of intercourse, prostitution, having orgies in the temple, man. And had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, having sex in the holy places of the temple. And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful. You couldn't imagine what they was bringing in inside the temple. The temple was set up for it to be pure. Only the priest, the Levite priest, could dwell in the temple. But now you got these dirty behind Greeks up in there, man. Okay. It says, verse 5. It says, the altar also filled with profane things, which the Lord forbidden. So the altar was covered, man. Probably had swine flesh all throughout the altar, man. Verse 6. It says, neither was it lawful for a man to keep the Sabbath days or ancient feasts or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. You see that? So we, at one point, were being persecuted for our faith, man. You know, where we couldn't keep our high holy days. You know, we couldn't keep our feasts, you know. And it's going to happen now. We're not going to be able, because these people already got our names, our information. They know how we look. They know where we live at. They got our phone numbers. So they're going to run down on us, man. But you got to remember, we can't bend. We can't break. We can't be of that term, a mother effer, you know, and say what? I'm going to take this chip off the strength of saving my family. Nah. You know? I'm going to keep reading. It says verse 7. It says, in the day of the king's birth, every month, they were brought by bitter constraints to eat of the sacrifice. And when the fast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy, man. So each month, when the king birthday came around, what was they doing, man? The Jews was compelled by force. They was forced to eat intestines, swine flesh. That's where you get chitlins from. You know? Because that's the same spirit that the slaves did to us. Have us eating chitlins, getting the scraps. And when you smell that damn chitlin, it smells like defecate. It smells like doo-doo, man. Verse 8. It says, moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews that they should observe the same fashion and be partakers of their sacrifice. That's what it was about, for us to be partakers of their sacrifice, man. You know, it says verse 9, it says, and whoso would not conform himself to the manner of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery. So what happened? They wanted to put us to death, man. We refused to adopt the Greek way, man. So off that alone, what was the message that was being sent? That it was going to be some hard times coming. So we know it's going to be hard times coming from this coronavirus from us. Because guess what? You are not. It's not lawful to take this chip, man. This digital certificate. It's not lawful to do that, man. Okay. It says, verse 10. For there were 2 women brought who had circumcised their children, whom when they had openly led round about the city, the babes handing at their breasts, they cast them down headlong from the wall. So guess what they did, man? It was 2 females that circumcised their children. And what do these devils do? They paraded them around the city with their babies hung from their breasts, man. And then what? They threw them off the damn cliff, man. They threw them off the city wall. The baby, the mother, everybody, man. What did that remind you of? It was a book called Without Sanctuaries, and these devils will burn the babies. They'll castrate the men. They'll hang the women. They didn't care, old or young. It says, and others that had run together into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered by Philip, were all burnt together because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. So what happened right there? You had another group of people on another occasion. They had gathered into a cave to keep the Sabbath day secretly, wasn't even doing it openly, and they had a problem with that. And they got burnt alive, man. They got attacked and burned alive, man. And guess what? They didn't fight back. You don't read in this account that they fought back. You know why they didn't fight back? Because they really believed they feared the Lord. They wasn't going to do nothing on the Sabbath. Now, some people may say that was stupid, but then again, Hey, man, what you going to do? You listen, man. Listen, man. There's no getting around this devil, man. Job 9:24, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked, man. Verse 12. Now I beseech those that read this book, because the Lord is about to punish Israel, but at the same time, he's showing us mercy, man. So it says, now I beseech those that read this book, this second Maccabees, the 6th chapter, that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for chastising of our nation. See? Meaning what? Don't look at it from the angle of a person that's not spiritual. That's going to look at it, man, they got, oh man, Israel destroyed. No, this was the Most High just wanted to chastise us, man. Don't be discouraged by that, man. You know? And he's going to break it down, verse 13. It says, for it is a token of his great goodness when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. So what? It's a sign of kindness, really, man, to punish a person immediately for his sins, rather than to wait a long time. Because that's what the Most High did with Esau, Edom. He let their sins reach up to the heavens. But the Most High said, it's the Lord showing kindness to punish you right away. That's like if you got a child, and as soon as your child do something, you discipline them. But if you let your child keep messing up, it's going to only enrage you more and more and more. And when you see him, you might take him out, man. So this is the outlook that we need to have. Verse 14. For not as with our nation, whom the Lord patiently forbeareth to punish, till they be come to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us. Okay? So the Lord does not treat us the same way he do these other nations, man. He waits patiently, man, until they have become deeply involved in their sins, man. Right? Like it says what? Let me get it. So book of Revelation. That's what he did with Esau. He didn't do that with us, man. This is the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter. It says 18:1. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. Verse 2, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils. Why did it become the habitation of devils? Because the Most High let it build up to that. And the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Why? Because you got homosexuality here, you have a bestiality here, you got murderers, you got marijuana dispensaries, you got tattoo parlors. The Most High just let that build up. It says, I'm gonna jump down to verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that you receive not of her plagues. The Most High don't want us to get them plagues, man. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquity. You see that? So the Most High was the one, Yahweh Shem Yahushua was the one that let her sins reach unto heaven. You see that? So that's a blessing when the Lord, deals with Israel the way he deals with Israel. He don't let our sins build up to that point, man. It says, verse 15, least that being come to the height of sin, you see, afterwards he should take vengeance of us. So the Most High don't let it get too crazy, man, to the point where we sin too much. Verse 16, and therefore he never withdraweth his mercy from us, and though he punished with adversity, yet doeth he never forsake his people. Okay? The Most High is always merciful to the nation of Israel. Even though he judged us, you know what I'm saying? You have a lot of Israelites that's dying from this coronavirus. But what? He's never going to abandon us. Okay? But let this that we have spoken be for us warning unto us. And now will we come to the declaring of the matter in a few words. Now, this is the point also, man. This guy, Eleazar, man, verse 18, it says, Eleazar, one of the principal scribes in age, wow, in age, man, he was an old man, and of a well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine flesh. So what did they want? They was what? Force-feeding him, man, to make him eat pork, man. It says, but he knew the law, the Levitical law. It says, but he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with an abomination, spit it forth and came of his own accord to the torment. So look at that, man. He preferred an honorable death rather than live in disgrace, to have a stain. You know, who the hell want to walk around with a damn stain on, man? So he preferred a righteous death, man. So, it's certain ways you could die. You die like a righteous man. You don't die like a coward. You had men that was having sex with their mother, or making Esau tell you to rape a woman or take her out. And you know what? That same spirit is here today. You got dudes that will sell their own people out, man, just to get by. You got dudes that will sell crack in their neighborhood just for they could make they come up for they and their family. You got dudes that will kill or manipulate people for that, or use prostitution and destroy somebody else's sister, somebody else's niece, aunt, so they could get ahead in life, man. But see, Eleazar wasn't one of them guys, man. It says, verse 19, but he choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth and came of his own accord to the torment. Verse 20, as it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted, man. So he didn't care about that. He didn't care about losing his life, man. You know? Even if it cost him his own life. He didn't care about eating, refusing to eat this unclean food. Even if it cost him his own life, man. It says, verse 21, but they that had the charge of that wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with a man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king. So what did they want him to do? They wanted him to fake it. Eleazar had friends, other Israelite men, that was like, yo, man, yo, listen, just bring like some beef and we make it, act like it was pork. But Eleazar said, no, I'm not doing that. Because then even though I'm eating the beef and it benefits me, then the other men that's looking at me, they're going to say, well, Eleazar ate pork, because they don't know about this deal that's being made. So now I can eat pork. With that saying, you got to be a better example, man. What type of friend is that, man? They told him this privately, to bring in lawful meat and to pretend to eat pork. That's wicked, man. No, man. And you might have dudes that might say, hey, man, listen, tell a wife, listen, babe, go take the chip, just for we can eat as a family. But you made her sin. You got to put your trust in the Lord during that time, man. And this is a beautiful story, man, how you should be, man. An example, man. Don't be like them guys that, raped had sex with their mother, had sex with their aunt, man, just for they could survive, man. Don't be like them guys, man. It says, verse 22, it says that in doing so he might be delivered from death, right, by eating beef, acting like it's pork, and for the old friendship with them find favor. But he began to consider discreetly, and as become his age, and the excellence of his ancient years, and the honor of his gray head, whereon was come, and his most honest education from a child, from his youth up, or rather the holy law made and given by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. It says, therefore, he answered accordingly, and willed them straightways to send him to the grave. So what did he do? He said, man, F that, man. I'm not taking this chip. The chip and the swine flesh is one. It goes hand in hand. He said, kill me, man, right here, right now. Because I'm not bending, I'm not breaking, man. Take me to the grave, man. You know? It says, verse 24, for it becometh not our age, said he, in any wise to dissemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being 80 and 10, were now going to a strange religion. So what did he do? He led by example. I'm not going to fake like I'm eating pork. Because then these guys are going to look at me and say, well, shoot, Eleazar did it. And he was 90 years old. Peep that out, man. You know? It says, verse 25. It says, and so they through my hypocrisy and desire to live at little time and a moment longer should be deceived by me, and I get a stain to my own age and make it abominable. So he said, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting a stain on my jacket. It says, for though for the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead. Because the Most High, Scripture says, is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the Lord, man. Wherefore now, manfully, changing this life, I will show myself such as one as my age requireth, and live a notable example. Let's look at that word of example. You can't make decisions for yourself, man. Let's get that. It's in a free dictionary. Example. It says one that is a representative of a whole group as a whole. It says one serving as a pattern of a specific kind. Let me go down a little bit more. It's not what I want. It says example. It says an item of information that is typical of a class or a group. So Eleazar was an example for other men that's just like him. Men that had a backbone, man. Okay? Men that had a backbone. Okay? You ain't gonna tell me to eat no damn beef and act like it's pork. No, we're not doing that, man. We're not playing those games, man. Okay? And it says, and leave a notable, verse 28, and leave a notable example to such as be young to die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws. You see? And that's what we dying for. We dying for our faith. And just like that woman that died with her children because she circumcised them. She died for her faith. She wasn't scared. So you have righteous men and women in his truth. And when he had said these words, immediately he went to the torment. They that led him changing the good, will they bear him a little before into hatred. So them dudes that was, dealing with him a certain way and, listen, man, do this. Now, because he told them no, that hatred built back up in them. And coons, man, working with the Greeks, man. It says, because the foresaid speech proceeded as they thought from a desperate mind. They thought he was crazy, man. They thought he was a madman, verse 30. But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, it is manifest unto the Lord that have the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in the body by being beaten. But in soul am I well content to suffer these things because I fear him. Okay? He feared the Most High more than the torture, man. Listen, you got to fear the Most High more than the food. Okay? More than transactions, quicker transactions. Verse 31, and thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of a noble courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation. You see? He made a decision just like Yahweh Shah did for the nation of Israel, man. 1 Timothy 4:12. It says, let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity. So you got to be an example, man, for other believers, not only in your speech, because a lot of dudes talk a good one, but also in your conduct. Okay? The way you carry yourself. Okay? All right? Your faith. This ain't about talking, man. James 4:17. It says, therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is a sin. So you know to do good, right? And you don't do it, okay? Guess what? That is a sin. Because Eleazar, he knew he shouldn't eat pork, man, or swine flesh. And where did he know that from? The Leviticus law in the book of, I think 11. Hold on. 11:7. Just want to read it, you know, because at the same time you read these verses in a better 11:7. It says Leviticus 11:7, and the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you. And what was them Greeks doing? They was amused by watching Israelites break their code. They got off on that. Like, yo, they fear this Greek government more than their own law. They probably was busting nuts to that, man. Getting off, having orgasm to that. Every time an Israelite that knew better didn't do better. That chose the fear, then Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. You see? It's the book of Ezekiel 35:5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel. Who is this talking about first? Let's go up. Ezekiel 35:1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, verse 2, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. Mount Seir, that goes back to Edom, Esau. These devils are natural born sworn enemies, man. And say unto it, thus saith the Lord of Yahweh, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee desolate. Verse 4, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. This is the reason why these cities are going to be laid desolate, and that's going to come through nuclear missiles, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. A perpetual hatred. These people have an everlasting hatred, an ongoing, an everlasting hatred on us, man. They're never going to. They're not designed in a system to get along with us. It says, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end, and they're going to do that now. That's why they got these drones that could tell if you have the digital certificate or in your body, RFID chip, you know, if you have a fever. I mean, this is what the movies, you know, when you used to be on the corner, they'd be like, man, y'all sound crazy, man. Y'all conspiracy, man. No, we not. We've been right, man, the whole time, man. The whole time we've been right. So what do you got to do, man? The book of Ecclesiasticus 4:28. It says, strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. Meaning what, man? Let's look at that word strive, man. You got to reach for the stars, and if that's the end game, it says to exert much effort or energy, to struggle or fight for forcefully, to contend. To contend. So it says strive. Go hard for this. Strive for the truth. Go hard for the truth, man. Like Eleazar did. unto death. If that means you got to die for the truth, then so be it, man. Because the Lord is going to fight for you, man. What are you worried about? What are you scared about, man? Revelation 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. And see, this whole world is going to be tested out. To really see, to show you what you should have faith in. Should you have faith in this world? The ones that have faith in this world, they're going to die a terrible death. Or have faith in the invisible power. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And the Most High says he's going to keep us from that hour of temptation. Behold, I come quickly. Revelation 3 and 11. Hold that fast which thou hast. Meaning what? This knowledge, this information. Let wisdom and knowledge be the stability of thy times. That no man take thy crown. Don't let nobody take your crown, man. Go hard for this truth, man. Go hard for this truth, man. Brothers in Israel, man. This is the last precept. The book of Job 13 and 14. Wherefore do I take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my own hand? No. No, your life is not in your hand, bozo. The Most High is running this thing, man. So if it came to the point where you had to make the tough decision, that's the Lord testing you. That's not for you to take matters in your own hand and let me figure out how to work. Because after a while, you got to deal with this devil. You got to face your fears face to face. You got to deal with your hour of temptation. You got to make that decision that Eleazar made to himself, which inspired brothers like myself. Because if death is the end game that this devil want to play with, then beat him at his own game. Beat him at his game. If he want to make death or sickness and pestilence the end game, then keep your faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, man, to the end. It says, verse 15, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. That's a bad scripture, man. Meaning what, man? Through better or worse. This marriage is for better or worse. When it's good and when it's bad. So though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. But I will maintain my own ways before him. Meaning what? You're going to keep your integrity, man. And that's what Eleazar did. Okay? And them slaves that chose to get buck break, or, not chose, but put in that position where they had to make a decision, either die or have sex or rape a woman or their mother, or have sex with their mother or their grandmother. And that's where the term mother effer come from. Keep your integrity, Israel. With that being said, I'd like to give infinity honors to my Lord and Savior, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS. Salutations to you brothers that's doing the work truthfully and sincerely and not for vain glory. Big up to the Sheep of Berea camp and all the other camps that's doing this truth, man. With that being said, come Yasha'Allah. Come Yasha'Allah. Come Yasha'Allah. Shalom.